But bro, I've seen you at home, recovering, in the hospital,
Yep.
3 days out of the hospital, and you never stop being you.
I just try to be positive. Like, I mean, there's a lot of bad shit in life.
I know that, and and bro, I mean, again, I wanted to get you on here because it's so important for people.
Well, you're a positive dude too. Like,
well, now I am, but. Welcome to the Telescope Room, my man Flossy the Boss.
what's up, Mr. Little One?
Yo, so you know how I've been asking you for a long time, like, yo, somebody's got to tell your story.
I appreciate it.
You know, so I figure some of these sleepy heads that didn't jump on it, I get to
Take
jump
advantage
on
of it.
You know what I'm
Timing's
saying?
everything.
You know, so first and foremost, obviously, bro, we go back
Long time.
a long time.
Been friends for a very long time.
A very long time. And, you know, I want to talk a little bit about what you've done musically. But besides the music, as you know, what the objective of the show is to talk about the internal battles,
Absolutely.
the growth,
Yep.
and being victorious
Amen.
from something that, suffocated us.
There you go.
So let's start out with who Flossy the Boss is.
Well, Flossy the Boss is a guy who goes back since 1997. I had a job where I was making a couple $100,000 a year. And believe it or not, it was an acrylic nail company.
Wow.
I taught women how to do acrylic nails, synchronized acrylic nails in the salon. But I taught like motivational seminars all over the world.
Right.
So that's how I made money. I was like,
So you would travel
from city to city.
and do these seminars.
Right. I worked Monday through Friday in the office. We had about 300 employees. And then on every Saturday I flew. I think 1 year, every single Saturday except for Christmas, I flew to a different city or country to do a seminar.
Wow.
And then I'd be right back in the office on Monday.
Wow.
So my whole life has been nonstop working. I still do. But my whole life has been like that. But my first love has always been music.
Right.
I'm not a rapper, but I was used to be breakdancing. I was into that stuff hardcore.
Right.
And I just wanted to do something in the business.
Right.
And so I was working at this job. Eventually I got sick of it. I literally was at the point where I'd go into the office.
And you didn't want to be there no more.
Not only did I not want to be there, I was having like, I'm going to come and I'm going to bring a pistol.
I'm going to burn this building down.
I was waiting for something I'm going to crack on it. So I was like that.
I know you would have too.
I actually did. And they called the police on me one time.
Wow.
So
at the end.
Well, my boss was pretty forgiving because I made him millions of dollars.
Okay.
So they're like, he probably deserved it.
Not only that, but they were losing an asset.
Oh yeah, they couldn't afford to have me out.
They were losing an asset.
So, but yeah, I was at that point, a breaking point, and I just realized it was bad for my health.
Right.
And I was just constantly angry.
Okay. You weren't happy.
Not at all. And I was making great money. It wasn't like money was the answer.
Right.
It was more about I'm not doing what I want to do.
Well, yeah, and that's important.
Right.
That's very, very important. Okay, so then what happens?
So keep in mind, this is before the internet. This is before you could do anything in the music business. I don't even think the word independent label was really a thing.
Right. Everything was major labels.
Yeah, if you didn't know,
if you were on the radio, you were doing great.
Right, yeah. So I decided. I went to some friends of mine and asked them. They all played in a band. I didn't know anybody in the entertainment business. So a couple of friends of mine played in a band, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to start this record label. I'm going to get a house, turn my garage into a recording studio, and I'm going to start this record label. You guys want to go with me? You guys with me?" They crickets. Nobody wanted.
Everybody was quiet.
They just looked at me like
they didn't see the vision.
I mean, it'd be like you walking up saying, "Flossy, I'm running for president next year."
Yeah, let's go.
And I'd be like,
"Hey,
yeah, that might be a big step."
Yeah. Especially where things like getting on the radio, having distribution seemed absolutely impossible.
We know artists today. I didn't know one artist, not a person.
Okay.
So finally, Fingers, he said, "Yeah, I'll help you." He was really great at keyboards, played piano, was an amazing artist.
Production.
Songwriter, keyboard player.
Yeah.
He was just amazing. So, and he knew how to hook everything up.
Right.
He knew the electronics, and that was crucial because it wasn't like we plug in a computer like we do now.
Yeah.
We had to get the full studio, external gear, gigantic mixing boards, and he knew how to
do it.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got the spot and you've lit it all up.
We got it set up, and pretty soon we called it the Purple Room.
The Purple Room.
So I started getting all these gangster rappers because my thing was gangster rap. That's all.
And
I
how
loved.
did you find them?
I actually went to the hood. I would go to the hood. Like people say, I'd say, where are people, white people, not ever wanting to be on a Friday night?
Like that's where you went.
Where are people getting their caps peeled back? I would go with a 40 ounce of Old English, drink it on the way in LA or somewhere, Compton, Watts, and I'd go to the worst spot, and I'd pull up where everybody's slanging, and I'd say, and people look at me like, what the hell are you doing here? And I came out looking just like this, and I go, I don't know if any of you guys rap, but I'm starting a record label. I need some rappers. And everybody was a started coming over, and I actually brought them right back to my house.
Like that night.
That night or
Like
the next day.
They followed you.
Oh, yeah, come down, let's go to work.
And so, a lot of them were ready. They just didn't have no place to record.
They didn't have an outlet. There was
no outlets.
Yeah, I just randomly found amazing talent.
Right.
And it's what I love. So I was like, okay, cool. We came back, we wrote songs, put together a compilation album. Back then we called them compilations. They're called mixtapes now.
Right.
But we would sell them door to door. In the Sloss and Swap Meet, Crenshaw, I was slinging them as much as however I could to finance the next round.
Right.
And then I got 2 albums out, compilations. And
how did you distribute it? You were sending them swap meet status?
Just hand to hand, indoor swap meets.
Indoor swap meet, posters. Yeah.
And so
you found all the local guys.
Oh, yeah.
One would buy 100, one would buy 300. You were up and down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just running the streets with boxes in the car.
Yeah, but you make thousands of dollars though.
Easy. So we were hustling a lot of CDs out there, and then the third one was like the internet started cracking, and that was when the .com era happened.
Right.
And this company called Music Blitz said, "Hey, I'll pay you for one of those compilation albums. I'll give you $50,000, but you need a famous person on there. One famous person."
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't know anybody famous.
Right.
And so all the gangsters I was working with from all over LA, Inland Empire, Orange County, San Diego. I had a lot of gangsters that were here. I go, who knows someone famous? We can't pool our resources. And somebody goes, I'll keep my eye on the streets. Who do you want? My favorite rapper at the time was Corrupt.
Right.
So we got to get Corrupt. He's my favorite rapper.
Right.
And so sure enough, somebody called me like at 2 a.m, say, Corrupt's in the studio in Moreno Valley, recording with South Central Cartel.
So you went.
I put the jetpacks on, headed over, and he was in a great mood.
Right.
Just finished a record. He played it to me like 80 times in a row.
Right.
Sat in the car while I was smoking a blunt. And then the whole thing, I was trying not to be pushy, but I want him to, can you come through, please?
Yeah.
And so he gave me his number, and I stalked him like a little bitch.
Yeah.
I was calling that dude.
Corrupt, what up? It's Flossy.
Yeah.
Corrupt, it's Flossy. Was he calling you back? There was no text at the time either,
No,
right?
it was phone calls and voicemails.
So you were just blowing him up
because he couldn't answer his phone, and there was Snoop and him were doing the Up and Smoke tour.
Right. So he was on the road.
He was on the road,
and so here's a 951 number.
He don't know me for shit.
Right.
So he's like, who's this idiot
calling me?
Oh yeah. So eventually I caught him from Snoop doesn't live too far from here, so I caught him, and he goes, "Where you at?" And I said, "I'm at the studio right now." He goes, "All right, motherfucker, you better have some shit. I'm coming through right now." So I called all the people we're working with, people that sing vocals.
You had beats.
I had tracks
from Fingers.
Yes, I have. We were ready for that. Not only that, I had singers ready to sing hooks live. I have session players.
You were ready to go. All you needed was him to walk in through the door,
and I'm getting a check,
and start spitting his shit.
Oh yeah,
and it was on.
It was on. So he came through
on GP.
On GP.
Just because he liked you.
He liked me, persistence, and he was not too far, 30 minutes from here. And literally came in, he just started freestyling. We just did a bunch of records that night. And then he goes, "Man, I love you, dog. I'm going to come back." Came back the next night. Next thing you know, the labels are calling me, "Want you on the album." And so now I'm working on his next album. But then what he did, which really kind of was a game changer for me, he had a little brother named Roscoe. And Roscoe was 14 at the time. Next thing you know, his next trip came down. He was with his mom and Roscoe and a lawyer. And they said,
Corrupt
shows
up with his mom, with a lawyer, and with Roscoe.
Yeah.
And what does he say?
"Flossy, we really like you. You're a smart guy." Because I'd been reading entertainment law books. I've been studying the game.
Yeah, he knew you were up on game.
Yeah. And he goes, "Whatever you say, my brother's going to listen to you. I want you to take legal guardianship of my brother."
Legal guardianship?
Legal guardianship, like his dad. So I took legal guardianship of his brother. Roscoe.
14 years old.
14 years old. He moved into the house.
Mom's comes with the paperwork.
Oh, yeah. We just knocked it out. He's now living at my house, and we're making records every single day.
And how did you guys get along?
amazing. He's like my son.
Okay.
Love him, I still love him to this day. Both Corrupt and him, I love him to death. But it's funny when I go out in public and I see him, and he'll say, "That's my pops."
Oh, okay. Still.
Yeah, we're cool.
There's a lot of love.
Oh yeah, 100%.
All right.
It's family. But so we made a record that actually Fingers made a record for Snoop, and we gave it to Corrupt to give to Snoop. And by this time, by the way, I'm going back and forth with Corrupt because he didn't drive. I drive to Snoop's house. Now I'm
You would drop him off in the front.
No, we're going to hang
You
out
go
with
inside.
Snoop. Yeah.
You met Snoop.
Yeah.
So now you know another famous person.
And then Nate.
And then another famous person.
And then Daz. All those guys.
So before you know it, you're surrounded by a bunch of dudes that are cracking in the game at that moment.
Radio, all day their songs are on the radio.
Yeah, the biggest companies, biggest artists in the world at that time.
At that time, the most major. And what's really crazy at that time, I wasn't thinking like, these guys are big. I'm thinking like, I got to get my game tight. I got to come with something. I can't ask for anything from anybody.
All right, you had to prove yourself.
I had to go prove myself. I'm not going to ask, hey, Snoop, get on a record. It's got to be right. So we did everything the right way. And then I went to Interscope Records, and they wanted Roscoe on the record we did for Snoop. So we got Roscoe a deal, got $500,000 for a deal for him, and he did that I Love Cali record.
Oh, I remember that.
And then
that video was dope too.
Yeah, it took off.
Yeah, that was tight. I remember. I actually remember. This was 99, 2000, right?
Yes.
I remember the guy that filmed that video.
Oh, really?
When I was walking out of Interscope at that time, I ran into him. This is when videos were like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000.
You spent a couple $100 on a video.
Yeah. And he's like, but remember what they look like? They look like film.
It was major.
Yeah. So, we were going to get into that. But I remember that. The Roscoe record was huge.
Yeah. I Love Cali took off. And then because of that, the label started talking to me about other situations.
Right.
That song I learned about publishing real quick. Publishing was a new thing. And we were offered a couple deals. But I didn't quite understand it, so I said, let's hold off on the publishing situation. People offered us $100,000, so let's figure this out first. That song went into as the opening and closing credits to a Harrison Ford movie, and they gave us $100,000 just to use that song. Now, if I did a publishing deal, they would have taken half of that.
Right.
So I learned quickly,
So you were ahead of the game as far as the business side of it, very early in the game.
Oh yeah. So at that time, Priority Records gave Roscoe a deal. We went into the label.
An artist deal.
An artist deal.
Which at the time was absolutely huge.
Massive.
To be able to record an album for a major record company.
And then the affiliates started working with us, like Master P did a deal with us for a compilation. So it started spreading around. But at that time, the only way in the game was through a major. Things have changed since.
Right.
So we put out the record. I started going to Snoop's more often. But I saw that these artists working with Snoop, they weren't making massive money, the producers. So I said, I don't want to step into their lane. That's their lane. They got that covered. So I started thinking, as I was going to these swap meets, the records I was selling, even though it was on the radio, the records that were, these guys, the Korean owners would say, no, get more of that. And it was Chicano rap. And so it'd be like at that time, people were rapping over actually oldie songs.
The old school songs.
Yeah, but not even with the beat. They'd be just rapping over the vocals. Just rapping straight on top. I'd buy those things and I'm like, who's buying this? And so I realized that every single place in the swap meets, they wanted that. And if I wanted to make money, I got to focus on that.
Yeah.
And that's when I started focusing on doing Chicanos and getting them on the radio, because at the time, there wasn't any Mexican on the radio.
Well, let me tell you this. From a artist street perspective, at that time, what I saw you do is everything you said that you did in the beginning when you found Corrupt, when you found Roscoe, when you met Snoop, when you met Nate, you turned all that around and you did it with the Chicano rap too.
Right.
Because before I knew it, I heard songs on the radio from Little Rob, Summer Nights,
right?
Brown Boy, Capone, Baby Bash, Lean Like a Cholo,
Frost, all these guys.
Kid Frost, like everyone was working with Flossy,
right,
and Bingus.
Yep.
So I remember at that time, I gave you a call.
That's right.
And I'm like, hey, I had just got to deal with Fontana at the time.
At that time, you were considered a scary, dangerous person.
Yes, I was.
People were looking at me going, dude, are you sure?
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, he seemed like a great guy to me.
Yeah. At that time, actually, that was the beginning stages of like my transition. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I was handling business different. I was taking care of myself different. And I remember that you told me that a lot of people were calling you like, be careful.
Right.
But you invited me to your house. I recorded a record with you, and then we got to know each other, as people. So first and foremost, I want to say that, in my opinion, you never get the credit you deserve. You know what I'm saying? Like, you made a lot of things happen for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to keep dropping names or nothing, but they know who they are.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm talking a lot of you actually were part of the historical element of that time.
Right.
Things that don't even exist anymore. But while those things were popping and while those artists were on the radio, it fell back to you. Because not only were you handling things musically, you were handling them on the business side too.
Was the most important part of it.
That was the absolutely most important. Now, that's on the music end.
Yes.
Yeah. And let me say, you made me a lot of money over the years too.
We're going to keep making more.
So we get to know each other as brothers.
As brothers.
We go on, and then what happens? You start experiencing some symptoms and you get sick?
Yeah, so I got I was drinking like 240 ounces every night because I'm in the studio every single day, all night. So 240 ounces was like the standard to start off with.
Old English.
Old English. I still love it. I'll drink a 24
I've
ounce
seen you.
Yeah, so I love it. But so not only was it getting fat, I think I weighed 220 at the time. I mean, you look back at some of the back days, we'd wear the shorts past the knee.
Yeah, knee-high socks.
Yeah, just horrible.
Converse.
Baggy.
Baggy, like 5, 6 sizes bigger.
5XLs. And
for some reason, we're talking different, right?
Oh, yes. And so I don't do any drugs, but the drinking was my thing. And so one day I go to the bathroom and I notice there's some blood in the toilet. I'm thinking, what's the problem? Go to the doctors. They couldn't figure it out. Whatever. Maybe it's drinking. So I slowed down on the drinking. It got worse. And so pretty soon I'm sick internally, but nobody could find out what's going on.
Did you feel sick? Like
I actually could not eat food anymore.
You couldn't eat?
Every time I ate, I'd throw up.
Okay.
So then I lost about 60 pounds.
Just out of nowhere?
Just day after day, not being able to absorb.
Not being able to retain the food.
I'd eat it it'd make me feel good for a second. I'd throw it back up. And so eventually I had to go to the emergency room. And they realized I had a disease called Crohn's, and my intestines had swollen shut.
Oh, wow.
So actually my intestine bursted, and so did my bladder.
And that's when you went to the emergency room.
Yeah, so they literally, I was borderline, could have died. And so they did the emergency surgery, and they had to put me on all these pills. And so now I'm doing much better now, but that transition was like, I literally realized, because I'm the sole provider for my family.
Right.
I realized that how important it was for me to plan, because typically I would I get $100,000, I'm going to go put that $100,000 into another project.
Yeah.
Turn it into another 200.
And so on.
Yeah. So, but now I said, okay, I got to start tucking stuff away, because if I disappear, my whole family's screwed.
Right.
So I started working on that, figuring out ideas that I can come up with to be long-term, make money while I sleep.
So is it fair to say that when you got sick, the dynamic of how you did things elevated you in a sense to secure your family and your children?
100%.
How old were you at this time?
Maybe I was 34.
So you were young.
Yeah, fairly young.
34 years
Maybe
old.
even younger. I can't remember. But the symptom, it went on for a long period of time before I realized I was to the point that I was so skinny and weak, I couldn't get up and walk around. Wow. Like I couldn't walk downstairs. So,
let me say this. I was with you through a lot of those times, and people don't understand your resilience. I've seen you be in pain with a smile on your face.
Right.
I've seen you be in pain and we're closing deals. I've seen you be in pain and we're shooting videos and casinos, and you never stopped working. And one of the things that I admire so much about you is, you've always held your family down.
Got to.
You've held your children down. You've held their education down. You've always been a resilient, strong man. You know what I'm saying? And even since back then, I would always use you as somebody for inspiration.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that's a positive influence.
Always, always. And, I just want to applaud you for being able to go through that and remaining in a positive state. Okay, so what happens next?
So I had a surgery.
Okay.
So I got out of the surgery. Basically I had to get a colostomy.
Okay.
So now I got a bag right here.
Okay.
And so that was a game changer because then I'm like, wow, this is like, now I'm a different person. In my head, you go through this thing.
You were convincing yourself that the dynamic,
ruined.
that you're done.
Right. So my wife was, fortunately, my support from my wife and family. So there was, to her, wasn't no, you're not different. You're the same person. So she got me out of that funk where I was feeling down on myself. I was kind of basically kicking myself. I didn't show it, but in my head, I was like, really disappointed. But then I got used to it. And I was like, hey, whatever. I can still go do. Obviously, there's a period of time you got to recover.
Yeah.
I had 3 major surgeries. So you recover, you get better. And for me, I was like, now I'm going to go 100 times harder. That's what I thought.
And you did.
And I did. And I'm going hard.
And you are. Yeah.
And that was my theory because now I need to set up the family and their family and just get everybody so this machine can run itself and then they could be at the helm of it just steering the ship. So.
Oh, yeah. And let me just tell you from somebody that you've seen, grow on my end, to be able to see you do that, to be able to see you smiling and happy, and you're always dressed good, and, you're always here and there. One day you're at Paris Hilton's house, the next day you're with Snoop, you know what I mean? And
get around, yeah.
Yeah, and what's really cool is that nothing's ever changed in the way that you have carried yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody knows, if you need anything, if you want to get a hold of anybody, if you want to book Drake, anything, call Flossy. You know what I mean? But I just want to applaud you, man.
Well, the one thing I will say, because even throughout when I got started, and at one point we were so on fire, I could have been that guy who said, nah, I ain't got time for you. Who the fuck you think you're talking to?
You never did that.
You could be homeless, and I know answer a call, and I come take a meeting.
Now, I have not met one artist that has told me that they reached out to you and that you did not welcome them.
No, I want
or
everybody.
Open the door.
That comes from one time we went to Interscope Records, and it was like finally, like back then everybody's like, oh, you're gonna meet an A&R, a big A&R talk. And
yeah.
I didn't even know anything about that. So we go to Interscope Records. Somebody hooked me up. They're gonna listen to your music. One of their main guys. I won't mention his name, but we're going through all our records. I'm hoping they like something. And while they're listening, they were literally taking phone calls. They were not giving.
They weren't respecting the space of the music.
They didn't even care that I was there. Like they literally were doing it for a favor.
For somebody.
I saw that, ejected the CD, and the whole camp. We had a whole camp.
And you walked out.
We walked out. Everybody's like, "What are you doing?" And my attitude was, "I'm not going to let someone make me feel bad. I'm going to go do this without them. Who needs a label?" This is before there was independent labels.
Yeah.
So I just said, "I don't care. I don't need anybody." And I figured out how I'm going to do this on my own, so I don't have to go kiss anybody's ass for talent that we already have. It's already there.
Yeah, everything was right there. You found a way to connect the dots on other levels on your own.
Yeah, so we always said, like, if somebody makes you feel that way, I'm sure a lot of people that are listening right now, they've been talked down to by somebody famous or and you feel so
you feel
small.
defeated. Yeah, you feel defeated.
And I told myself, I'm never going to let anybody feel that way from me.
Okay, but you realize that you did that with your health too.
Had to.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
because while you were sick, and there was moments that you felt like, man, you like being, talked down to, but we talk ourselves down when we're not feeling our best because we don't know what's going on, the anxiety of what's going to happen. But bro, I've seen you at home, recovering, in the hospital, 3 days out of the hospital, and you never stop being you.
I just try to be positive. Like, I mean, there's a lot of bad shit in life.
I know that. And, and bro, I mean, again, I wanted to get you on here because it's so important for people.
Well, you're a positive dude too. Like,
well, now I am, but
well, still, even back then, you have your moments where you're reckless because you're on a good one. But for the most part, you've always been to everybody encouraging, uplifting.
Yeah.
And what's funny is like a lot of people would say, "Dude, why are you even hanging around with him?" And I go, "You don't know him like I do." Like,
right.
And if you did, you took the time to hang out, you would find he's a good ass dude, solid.
Right.
Like if I need to have somebody's head squashed like a grape, I just pick you up and call back.
Yeah, for sure.
Go handle that.
That'd be easy. That'd be easy.
But I mean, so just knowing that somebody supports you like a brother. I mean, I'm not interested in everybody else's nonsense.
I'm gonna tell you a story that you don't even know about. But I was in a hotel room in 2011, and I I was going through it. I was like trying to recover from a bad hangover.
Oh my God.
And I was at a hotel by myself, and I hit you, and I'm like, hey man, I need some words of encouragement, right? And you sent out a tweet, and you tagged me on the tweet, and you put hey, go send my boy Mr. Little One some words of encouragement.
Oh, that's funny.
That's crazy, right?
I can't even remember that.
Yeah, and I remember I started getting all these messages, but fast forward, that is a great testament that anyone under any situation can rise.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know, there's a lot of people that don't understand, you know, they're sick, they're at the hospital, and they feel defeated. Like, look how many people are sick that can't go to a hospital,
Oh yeah.
that have no medical care. People that are in the street sick, not knowing when they're going to die.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And, you know, we've all in our own way have been victorious with our own battles.
I think we're like, we're just our worst enemy. Like, we will beat ourselves up because the world's not looking at me a certain way. But sometimes you feel that way. Like, I need to be this. So me, I try to shine brighter. So you're not looking at my flaws. Like, I try to be more positive.
Right.
So you don't go, okay, he's an idiot. You know what I'm saying? So he's just a really great guy, nice guy. And like, if somebody, like just this year, or excuse me, at the end of last year, somebody had called me, they needed help in the music business. I didn't know him. Somebody told him, hey, call Flossy, he'll help you out. Randomly called me. I don't mind if anybody calls me anytime. Took the call, started talking to him, started asking about his career. And turns out the guy's homeless in New York. So I felt super terrible. So I literally started making moves to try to put him in a better position of what I can do. But ultimately, he was also in a depressed funk. Like, he was like, nothing was good. Everything's falling down on him, this and that. But I started thinking to myself, you think those things in your head, but that's really not what it is. You could pick yourself up, put yourself in a different position right now, and make yourself feel more confident and better. You won't think negatively, and positive things happen.
Well, yeah, but that's because people become accustomed to being a limited version of themselves.
Right.
They accept being a limited version of themselves. And that, like, if you wake up every day and that's unacceptable to you, then you will honor that.
Right.
And if you honor that, you won't allow those type of thoughts or anyone to come into that space and make you feel defeated. You know, but again, number one, it takes courage to face what you're going through, which you have done. It takes courage to honor your family, because a lot of there's people out there that have children that don't honor their children. There's grown children that are in their 20s that the dad or the mom lives about 10 minutes away that don't have a relationship with their children.
Can you understand that? Because you have kids.
Right?
I remember when my kids were babies. I would give, like, if I was to be broke myself, like I don't have any money for my family, I'm going to do whatever I can do to put them up. I'll be homeless.
Right.
But they're not going to struggle.
Yeah.
But I love my kids so much and my family so much. I would never allow anything bad.
Of course.
Like, I always tell myself, you don't want to see me broke, I'll go light somebody up and take their wallet.
No.
My family's going to eat.
Yeah.
Period. But to see somebody not like their own family, to just let that go. Oh, I'll deal with it later. I couldn't do it. And I know what you went through and how chaotic it was, and your struggle, and you got them back.
Yeah.
I was blown away.
That was one of my greatest lows in my life, where I really took a step back and I looked at my behavior and what did I do to contribute to being in this space? Because when you live with your ego robs you of looking at things for what they are.
Right.
Like, I didn't see my children for almost 3 years.
I was depressed for you.
Yeah.
Like, I call you and go, dude, how are you dealing with it? Because it's so, I know how much you love the kids. So
Of
I'm
course.
Like, how does that happen? Can't you do anything? And it was a rough one.
It was really tough, but let me tell you where the victory came from that. At that moment, I felt completely defeated.
Right.
So the only thing that I knew how to resort to was anger and resentment and how to lash out. Now, the more you do that, the more you poison yourself.
Of course.
So I think that was one of the most important seeds that was planted in my growth in a pure way, not half-ass growth, because you only cheat yourself when you do that.
What was there like you used to drink a lot, like crazy.
I stopped drinking.
But what stopped? Like, how'd you go from, like, one day, I never asked you this, like one day you just woke up and said, I'm done.
No, I got a text from the mother of my youngest kids.
Okay.
And she basically told me the truth. Like, this is what you have become.
Wow.
This is what you are. And if this is what you are, how do you want me to let you around these babies? She was basically protecting them from me because I was in such darkness at that time that I was unaware how destructive I was.
Did you, when that happened, the first thing the average person could do, they're going to be pissed off and just talk.
That's what I did at first.
Okay. So what made you accept it? Like,
so after that text, that was it. I woke up the next day and I didn't drink. So I accepted, like, this is going to be a process, but a process with purity. I'm not going to speak with words no more.
right.
I'm going to speak with behavior. So during that process, I was growing little by little.
But you drank so much. Were you having withdrawals or anything?
None of that.
You just,
Zero.
how did you do that? That's crazy.
You know why? Because me honoring, wanting to reunite with my kids
The reward was bigger.
was bigger than any distraction, than any alcohol. So for 1 year at that time, I wasn't in a relationship with anybody. I didn't engage with any dating. I started reading. I started exercising. And it started with a phone call. Then a phone call went to a video call.
I remember those days too.
Yeah.
You tell me you talked to the kids. I was blown away.
Yeah. And then, fast forward a little bit, then I got to see them. And then I got to see them, and it stayed that way for like 6 months where I would just drive and visit them. Then they started coming over my house. Ooh.
Right.
So, in other words, one of the things that I said in one of the clips that you filmed for me is, if you don't betray your growth doesn't betray you.
Right.
So the more you honor your growth, the more it honors you. Because when you're good privately, it shows publicly.
Right.
So when I finally had the first face-to-face with their mother, I didn't have to say anything.
And you guys are cool now.
Her husband's my dude.
That's amazing
Yeah.
because I knew how crazy that whole thing was.
She was one of my greatest teachers.
Right.
Like you were a great teacher. So now, like when we saw each other, my growth spoke for me.
You weren't angry.
I was calm.
You were happy to see her. You felt good.
I love her. They're a little baby,
Right.
But we created a different dynamic. We share birthdays.
That's amazing.
We share holidays. Me and her husband, we talk crap to each other over the text all the time. But I love them.
That's cool.
But another testament of what your growth and being resilient and honoring yourself does.
Change your life.
Yeah, like you. Once you became to the acceptance of Crohn's and what was going on with you, and you adapted to living that way, and you honored the future of your children and making sure that every day you're going to do everything you can to make sure that they don't withstand another day without you, which was the same war that I had.
Hardcore.
I fought for them. You fought for yours.
Right.
Now we're all united.
Yep. So since you quit, have you drank since then?
No.
Do you think if you had a couple drinks, it would be back on?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Yes. I honor it so much that I will not allow anything to destroy it. And since alcoholism was one of the biggest factors,
you don't smoke or anything.
I don't
That's what's
drink.
crazy.
I don't smoke. I don't go out. I wake up, I read, I exercise, and I go about my day. And my day usually consists of being very, 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 very productive.
Right.
That's it.
What time do you wake up every day?
5 a.m.
Because I know you text me pretty early sometimes.
5 a.m. I'm in the shower by 5:30. I'm on the table reading by 6. I'm done by 7. I train till 9, take another shower, and then I go out and do my shit.
That's great, man. That's amazing, too.
But I want to thank you for always being a supporter for me.
Absolutely.
For always having my back through my worst, through my best, through my ups, through my highs, through my mids. You were always there, never treated me different, always opened the door. A few times that I lashed out on you, you just ignored it and talked to me the next time like nothing ever happened.
I just looked at it just the same. So.
So I want to thank you. I want to also applaud you for everything you've done, not only musically and business for many other people, but everything you've done for me. because it's trickled down to my children. I've been in places that I don't even want to repeat, in situations that I don't even want to repeat.
Yeah.
And somehow, some way, you always found a way to help me get back up.
Right.
So,
well, congratulations on your whole podcast, man.
Thank you, man.
You're massive. This is a whole new journey for you.
Again, you're a big part of that too. You know what I'm saying?
However I can help.
Anything that has been great in my life, you've always been a part of, man.
Hey, like you notice, I just say however you need me, just let me know.
And you always do, man. So, bro, I love you.
I love you back.
I appreciate you. I thank you. I applaud your story, and thank you for interviewing me too.
I don't know if I interviewed you, but yeah, it was a great conversation for sure. There's a couple things I learned that I never knew about you. That whole transition, that was interesting.
No, yeah, man. And again, I mean, even though our relationship was never, negative in any way, look at our relationship now.
Oh yeah, it's positive.
You know, when you grow and you elevate and you honor what you do, you create a whole different dynamic, not only for between us, but people that are part of your circle, people that are part of my circle. When we all meet, we're all on the same frequency.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So it just creates a healthy, productive,
you would
positive
say symbiotic.
Yeah, symbiosis, man. Thank you, my broski, for coming through.
Sir.
I love you, my dog.
Love you back.
Let's go have some lunch.
Good to see you.
All right.